So I was initially going to schedule today's video for the Bulls players' midseason grades and how I think each player on the roster has performed this season. And I'll actually try to have that out later today because why not? The Bulls don't have a game for a while. But I've had so many people recently hitting me up about the Andre Drummond trade rumors and my take on it, and so I thought I'd do a separate video for all the buzz going around Drummond. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So I actually made a video about a month ago or so on Andre Drummond once the news broke that the Cavs would no longer be playing him until they have a trade partner to send him to. And the video was more just around speculating what the Bulls could do to get Drummond, knowing that he kind of fits a need on the Bulls roster. Mind you, I made the video when Wendell was still injured, so obviously Drummond looked even more attractive at the time because we really needed a center desperately. I'll leave a link to that video in the description, also in the corner here as well, so in case you guys missed it, some of it might seem a little bit repetitive. Now, since that video, there has been a lot of speculation on where Andre Drummond will be headed, and I'll admit, I'm actually shocked he hasn't been traded by now, because when the Cavs announced that they were no longer going to be playing him until they found a suitable trade partner, I thought that basically meant they were close to finalizing a deal with a team, because generally, you don't want a player you're paying that much money, especially, to just sit, even though they're healthy until you trade him. But here we are today, and Drummond is still with the Cavs, at least at the time of this recording. Who knows, maybe he'll be moved by the time I get this uploaded. That's how the NBA works sometimes. But he's still with the Cavs at this point, and just yesterday, Shams Charania, who is one of the more trusted and credible sources in the NBA, reported that the Bulls have, quote, registered interest in Andre Drummond. I always find these reports funny though, like what does that even mean really? I'm sure there are a lot of teams that have registered interest in Drummond because despite his flaws and being a bad free throw shooter and not really a fit for today's NBA as a center because he's unable to spread the floor, he's still a very serviceable big man, a good big man in my opinion. He's only 27 as well. So it's not like this is a washed up player who is useless in the league. I'm sure he's drawing lots of attention from teams who know he's on the trading block. But like I said, you know, Shams is one of the more reliable sources in the NBA, so when I see a report come out like this, I generally take it a little more seriously than others, although I've never really been one for NBA rumors because it's all speculation until it actually happens. No one really knows what's going on behind the scenes unless you are the GMs that are involved in the deal. But let's talk about this interest, I'll say in quotes, a little bit further because it's no secret that the Bulls are in desperate need of a traditional big man who can crash the boards, play defense, and bully some of the other star quality big men in the league, and Andre Drummond fits a lot of those deficiencies the Bulls currently have. I wouldn't say he's an elite defender, but he's a solid defender. He's actually decent on offense as well, averaging 17.5 points per game. He's a monster on the boards, averaging 13.5 rebounds. He's also a 4-time league leading rebounder, and he's actually not a bad playmaking center as well, you know, averaging 2.6 assists per game. For a center, that's pretty decent. So no, he's not the answer to all the Bulls' problems by any means, but he does fill a big need for us. The question is, at what cost? Because we do have to keep in mind, Drummond is on an expiring contract, and an inflated contract at that, making $28.7 million. He's likely going to want another big contract once he hits free agency, and although he is a good player, he has a skill set the Bulls need at this point, I don't think he's worth the money he's going to be looking for, which reports are saying that he's looking for a near max contract, which in my view, he is nowhere even close to being worth that much. Again, because his skills, although serviceable, don't really fit in today's NBA because he can't spread the floor, he doesn't have a jump shot, and of course he's an absolute liability from the free throw line. But as far as trades go, because the report from Shams didn't indicate any trade proposals or scenarios, so for the Bulls who are willing to give up for a guy like Drummond, what would that be? And keep in mind, we might give up these trade assets for nothing if he ends up walking in free agency. I think if a trade is to be done, the Bulls would need to get some assurances from Drummond's camp that he would extend and stay with the Bulls, again for a reasonable amount though. Now in the last video I made about Drummond and whether it would make sense for the Bulls to trade him, I suggested Otto Porter, mainly because to make the money work, and because the Cavs need a wing player who can play defense. Well, the Cavs need a lot of things, but that's one of them, and the other player who was included in that deal was Wendell Carter Jr., so that it gives the Cavs a younger asset to pair in the front court with Jarrett Allen. And for the Bulls, by bringing in Drummond, they wouldn't really have as much use for Wendell, and Wendell finally gets to go play the 4 like he's wanted to over in Cleveland. Now, I've seen some of you guys saying, well, why wouldn't we just trade Otto Porter straight up for Drummond? The salaries match. Well, yeah, the salaries match, and if the Bulls could somehow pull that off, then yes, you absolutely jump all over that, because Otto is on an expiring deal anyway, and likely isn't part of the Bulls' long-term plans. I shouldn't even say likely, he is not part of the Bulls' long-term plans, so that's a no-brainer. I mean, even if Drummond walks in free agency to another team, you really didn't lose anything since Otto wouldn't be on the team next year anyway. But the fact of the matter is the Cavs are going to want a little more in return. I mean, part of the reason they're doing this is to be able to actually get something for him in return before they just let Drummond go for nothing. And because Drummond does have a skill set a lot of teams need, they're going to get better offers than just an expiring contract of Otto Porter. Now, I think Wendell Carter would do it because they're getting a 21-year-old big man who's still on his rookie contract, and if you're in rebuild mode like the Cavs are, this exchange makes sense. But like I said, when I made this video, this was back when Wendell was injured, yet again. But now that he's back and he's been playing somewhat decently, maybe not the last 3 games, but before that he was playing rather well. And now I'm not opposed to giving up Wendell where it makes sense, but the Bulls trading Otto and Wendell, which is really just trading for Wendell because Otto is just for the salary match, I think that's probably too much given Wendell's age, and I honestly think that they could get away with trading less for Drummond. I mean, it's possible they could get away with trading Otto. I mean, Otto has to be included in any trade deal that we're talking about with Drummond to make the money work. But Otto, Daniel Gafford, provides them with a young backup for Jarrett Allen, and then I think also a 2nd-round pick. I mean, I honestly think that could get it done, and if it's not enough for the Cavs, okay, we'll take out Gafford and the 2nd-round pick and replace it with the Bulls' 1st-round pick as long as it's lottery protected. And if the Cavs can swing a 1st-round pick and Otto for Drummond, a guy that they're trying to get something for in return, they're going to get rid of anyway, I would think that's a pretty good deal, and really for both sides. Again, a lot of this depends on how confident the Bulls could retain Drummond for an extension, because obviously you don't want to throw away a 1st-round pick or Gafford and a 2nd-round pick for absolutely nothing. So the front office and Drummond's agent would need to work out some kind of back-end deal that ensures they could get an extension deal done. I just worry that the Bulls are potentially going to overpay him for the value that he brings. That's my main concern. In any event, all of these are just rumors. I'm not going to believe anything until I see it, but as far as how I feel about Drummond on the Bulls, I love the idea behind it, but only and only as long as the Bulls don't have to give up too much for him in exchange, and if they can ensure they can extend him so they don't trade away assets for nothing, and extend him for a reasonable amount. If it gets to be too much that the Cavs are asking for, forget it. The Cavs have very little leverage in this situation, and if he gets traded to another team, then so be it. Not worth risking too many trade chips for a guy like Drummond. And if it was me, I would prefer the Bulls just wait until he becomes a free agent and see what he fetches in the open market. That way they don't have to trade him for anything at all. They might just be able to snag him in free agency. Like I've said before though, I do think Arturas is going to keep things status quo in this evaluation year. I don't anticipate they'll make any trades prior to the deadline, wait for the offseason before they really start shaking things up. What do you guys think though? What do you think of the possibility of the Bulls trading for Drummond or even just going after him in free agency in the offseason? Let me know in the comments. And as always guys, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan. I post daily Bulls content. Thanks again as always for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next one.